Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the 10 biggest waves ever caught on camera. So we all know the sea is one scary place. You've probably seen large waves at the beach, or maybe out on a boat, but they are nothing like the waves you're gonna see on this list. Some of these waves are caused by icebergs and Navy ships, while others are the biggest waves ever surfed on. Before we get into it, why not ride the wave by subscribing and pressing the notification bell too. Coming in at number 10, we have artificial tidal wave. So we all know that a tidal wave is a naturally occurring sea phenomena. A tidal wave is where shallow water caused by the gravitational interactions between the sun, moon and earth moves at different times. This can then cause an absolutely massive wave, sometimes wiping out entire areas. Well, we all know the government sometimes likes to control the weather and nature. That's why on May 16th, 1958, the US Navy created an artificial tidal wave. The wave was massive and happened right next to a Navy ship. The wave measured hundreds of feet high and it was absolutely terrifying to see. But why would they even do this in the first place? Surely it's irresponsible to make an artificial tidal wave, right? Well, they did it out in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. They wanted to know whether one of their Navy ships could withstand a wave of such size. They did this because they were testing their ships during the Cold War. Well, they did their tests and they realized their ships could not withstand such a wave. Their entire ship was totally obliterated, and it's a good thing no one was on it. They simply put it out there in the middle of the ocean to test, without anyone on it. But despite the Navy ship costing hundreds of millions of dollars, it still could not withstand this fake tidal wave. Now, this was in the late 50s, so who knows, maybe the US Navy now has ships which can withstand such great waves. But by the looks of this wave, I really doubt it. Next up is ice wave. So we all know that when ice melts, terrible things can sometimes happen to the oceans. It can cause a massive wave of water to move around the oceans, and also disrupt the sea, which affects beaches around the world. Well, one day in Antarctica, someone was filming a massive hill of ice from a ship. They were standing on their vessel simply regularly recording the ice. That was when a somewhat small chunk of ice fell down. You may not think that would trigger much, but afterwards, tons of ice began falling from this hill. It eventually gracefully slid down into the ocean. But don't underestimate the power of Mother Nature and ice. It created an absolutely massive wave which hit this guy's boat. The guy managed to duck down and he was completely soaked along with his ship. Luckily and amazingly, everyone on the ship was totally fine. The ship did have a bit of damage from the massive wave, but it was okay. Next up is largest wave ever surfed. So many people love surfing, and if you look at professional surfing, they surf on really big scary looking waves. But they are nothing compared to this wave, which you should not be surfing on whatsoever. What this guy's doing would not be allowed in regular surfing as it would be too dangerous. This is footage of the largest wave ever surfed on. The professional surfer named Mike Parsons got towed up into the wave by a jet ski. The massive wave happened at Cortes Bank, California. Once he got on the wave, the jet ski rode away. But Mike remained on the wave, surfing on the largest wave ever surfed on. This looks so terrifying, and if he fell off, he may be done for. It's a good thing he's one of the world's best surfers, otherwise he may not have made it out of this wave okay. It's funnier, this looks like a scene from a movie, but I doubt most movies could even get this on camera. Next up is Overflow. This video takes place in Shantung, China. Every year in Shantung, their local river overflows. This is due to a very rare meteorological event which only happens once per year. Because it's such an amazing event to witness, many locals actually come out just to see their river overflow, and many tourists from around the world also fly in to see this rare phenomenon. But a few years back, people underestimated the river overflow. It overflowed more than ever before and is a scary sight to see. The water totally bypasses the giant concrete pillars. It then wipes out many buildings, trees and fences. Now, you may not believe it by looking at this footage, but thankfully everyone was okay. But just be warned, when it comes to water, Mother Nature does not mess around. Next up is waves versus rocks. Portugal is said to be a surfer's paradise. It's known for having some of the largest waves in the world, and surfers come from around the globe to ride on those waves. But one day a few years back, even a professional surfer would not ride these waves. I think these waves would even be too dangerous for Mike Parsons. As you can see, these ginormous waves went right up to the rocky cliffs. The sand of the beach is totally covered up by water, and if you were riding one of these waves, you'd either go crashing into one of the cliff faces, or maybe you'd fly off the wave and land on top of the cliff. Either way, you would not walk away the same man you once were. You can see the stunned tourists on the hill gasping, and if I was them, I'd get off the hill, seeing as the waves are going well above the cliffs. I have to say, while that looks dangerous, it also looks magical, especially with that rainbow going right into the water. So one of the scariest things you could ever be near is a tsunami. Tsunamis of course occur in the sea and then come out onto land. Well, imagine if, due to poor timing, you were in the sea during a tsunami. That's exactly what happened to one Japanese Coast Guard boat. You may not fully comprehend it just by seeing this clip, but this boat is going over tsunami waves. This was taken moments before it hit the shores of Japan. These waves are said to be some of the biggest to ever exist. They may not look that big from the ship's angle, but they are so tall and long. Despite the people in the ship being Japanese Coast Guards who you would assume have seen it all, they're gasping. You can actually sense the fear in their voice just by this video. Next up is Navy Wave. This video is filmed from a New Zealand Navy ship. It was sailing in the heavy seas of Antarctica. They're going through various big waves. But then out of nowhere they're hit with a massive rogue wave. Because this is a very tough Navy ship, it went right through the wave without damaging the ship whatsoever. But if this was a sailboat or a cruise ship, it would be totally sunk. Just imagine being behind this glass and seeing a ginormous rogue wave about to smack right into you. Despite these guys being in the Navy, I can't think of many things scarier than that. Next up is Sea Princess. So most ships on this list have been Navy ships. That makes the footage slightly less scary, seeing as Navy veterans are trained and prepared for this stuff. But imagine you're relaxing on a cruise ship vacation and suddenly you see one of the biggest waves ever recorded. That's exactly what happened to those on the Australian cruise ship Sea Princess. Unfortunately, they somehow get caught up in a storm. They're then hit by a ginormous wave, but luckily the crew does manage to save the ship. Some passengers on board did have to be treated by medics, but it was nothing major and the ship wasn't really damaged all that much either. That's very surprising once you see the video and how big the wave was. The video was recorded by a crew member of the captain steering the ship. Just imagine all the pressure and stress that captain must have been under. You can hear the emergency alarms going off and one crew member almost falls over when the wave hits. Check out the poll in the top right corner to vote for the scariest wave on this list. I think it's the largest wave ever surfed on. It's scary enough to be in a reinforced ship, but imagine if it's just you and a board. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now, leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.